Yeah, when you first started 15 years ago or so. So your focus was on calories and weight loss primarily, right?
It was.
Can you tell our audience why it wasn't effective? So your clients weren't necessarily getting healthier when you were focusing on calories.
Yeah, so it's funny to look back on like 15, 16 years ago when I first got started. My boss called me bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I was so excited to get started. And the day I got my certification was the last day I think I was ever an expert in anything. Since then, it's been unlearning and unlearning and unlearning all kinds of stuff that I thought I knew perfectly from that first day. So yeah, we had at the time, this is back in 2007, we had an idea that basically it was the same message as most people know. If you wanted to gain weight, you had to eat more calories than you burned. And if you wanted to lose weight, you just had to flip it. You needed to eat less calories than what you burn. And that could work both ways. That could be you eating less calories, or it could be you burning more calories. And so part of what I was doing in my career, the one thing that I was trained on is learning how to use what is called a metabolic cart, which basically measures people's metabolism or how many calories that people burn, not only while they are exercising. Like I think a lot of people would recognize, like when somebody's on a bike or a treadmill, they're wearing a mask and they're pushing themselves really hard and they find out their VO2 max. That's essentially kind of the testing that we were doing. But we would also do it when somebody would be resting. And so that would tell you at a baseline level, if you're doing nothing other than sitting in a chair, how many calories is your baseline metabolism burning? And then we would extrapolate it to 24 hours. So how many calories does it take for your brain to work and for your heart to pump, and muscle on your body needs calories just to be there. And so we would use that test as an equation to help tell people, like, okay, if you're burning 1,500 calories at rest, when you have your job and all the other calories you burn in a day, maybe that's 2,000 calories. And maybe you come to the gym and you burn 500 calories on the treadmill. We assume that you're burning maybe 2,500 calories every single day. So if you eat 2,500 calories, I'd expect your weight to be about the same. If you wanted to lose weight, you would just have to eat about 500 calories less than the 2,500 every single day. And 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So 500 calorie deficit multiplied by 7 days would be 3,500 calories, 1 pound. So you should be able to do that every single week for as many weeks as you had pounds to lose. You just keep exercising, mostly like a treadmill where you could run and sweat and, burn lots of calories because the treadmill says you burn a lot of calories. And then you have low calorie foods, like lots of vegetables and lots of whole grains and lots of things that in theory would have kept you full. And the thing is, it would work. It really would work for people if they would do a calorie deficit. They would lose weight for sure. But the weight they would lose would not be, it would not be just fat. They would lose all kinds of weight. So also some fat, but also some lean tissue, which you don't want to lose. You would lose maybe some connective tissue or bone density, because your body's just in a deficit. And you'd lose weight, but the problem is the weight loss would really slow down over time, and then people would plateau. But then also they would feel like their motivation levels were really low. They were really hungry. Their cravings were increasing. They were getting frustrated that the weight loss that was working really well in the beginning was no longer working. And they would quit. Eventually, everybody would quit. And they would think that they were a failure because they quit. And to them, they look out and see other people that maybe are not quitting, or maybe they're in different parts of that same cycle, and they feel like a failure. And then they start gaining weight. But the problem is they don't gain weight back to where they started. It's always that they gain weight like 10 pounds heavier than when they started losing weight to begin with. So it's an even worse situation. And what people don't understand is that when you put yourself in a chronic caloric deficit where you're burning 2,500 calories and eating 2,000 calories, over time your body will adjust. And it will adjust that number we were talking about, the resting metabolic rate, the number of calories that your body needs to stay alive will decrease. And so your body won't be as energetic. It will save its calories. It will cool down, literally make your temperature lower. It will really reduce your motivation to burn any calories, and it will increase your hunger because it's craving more of that food, so it can kind of boost itself back up. And then it's really well suited to store the calories that it gets from fat because it wants a reserve of calories for the next time that you can't find enough food, or you go on a diet. You're basically just telling your body that you're in a famine. And so a really good example that I give people is, like, if I told you that this year economically would be really tough, would you go buy the Ferrari or would you start a savings account? And most people would say, like, okay, if it's going to be economically tough, I'm going to start saving money. I'm not going to spend money on things I don't really need. Your body does the same thing when in a caloric deficit. If you're exercising too much or eating too less, your body knows that you're in save mode. You want to be in economy mode. So it'll slow your burn rate down and hold on to everything that you get. And so that was the frustrating thing. And that's what we were doing as trainers, is trying to burn the maximum amount of calories in workouts, eat, the least amount of calories that we thought wouldn't crash somebody's metabolic rate, but people would just fail and they would feel bad about themselves. And then they'd come back the next year and try it again, and they'd fail again. And it's just like the Jason Fung thing. We're blaming victims of really bad advice versus questioning the advice that we're giving people. So that was kind of how we started. And yes, we focused a lot on calories in, calories out, and it was never a long-term fix. And so it was very frustrating.